Seruganda baganda bage abage pati fena mbutu ina mumyofu mutuli baruganda uliranga byenta bakama bange abage sabasali sabana moelo ngambenta bakama bange mama sabasali sabana moelo sabasali zechinyanje kwaga Uganda sabasali sabana Sabasali zache kwanga Sabasali Nyabungari Urinakari Abage Nyabungari Urinakari Sabasali zache kwanga Uganda Nyabungari Urinakari Abage
Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Your Royal Highnesses, you're most welcome. Honorable Minister, you're most welcome, you women, and all the other partners. May I request you, let's actually introduce ourselves a little bit. My name is Charles Mwangusha, and with Susan
Kerunen.
will be moderating the activities this morning. We'd like to welcome all of you. Can I request that we stand up and sing to the national anthem and the East African anthem? We'll have a prayer, and then we can start our day. Thank you.
Oh, Uganda, make good a party. We lay our future in thy hand. United, free for liberty, together we always stand. Oh, Uganda, the land of freedom, our land, one favor we give. And our dear land, you shall always have the Africa, she will reign. Oh, Uganda, the land of freedom, my son, and the full grown. Mungu twaomba uilinde jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu zote tuilinde, tuhajimike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. Wanani na mashambani, tufanye kazi sote kwa makini, tujitware mali na mali, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu zote tuilinde, tuheshimike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for this day. We thank you for this wonderful event. Lord, we pray that whatever it is that is going to be deliberated and discussed this morning shall give you glory, shall bless this nation and bless your people. We thank you and we bless you. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Susan. We might be seated. Yes. Your Royal Highnesses, Minister, Frank will also be supporting us as we run the activities for this morning, the event this morning. Frank.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, Your Royal Highnesses that are here with us this morning, our distinguished guests. You're most welcome to this auspicious occasion when we get to launch very critical documents that are going to guide this very important coalition of our cultural and traditional leaders in the country towards achieving the aspirations that can move our country forward. Honorable Minister, we're happy to receive you. Ladies and gentlemen, may we welcome the Honorable Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, the Honorable Amongi Betty Ongom, who has joined us to preside over this occasion with a round of applause. Together with her, we have the UN Women Country Representative. You're most welcome, Paulina. You're most welcome, Paulina, for joining us. We also have the representative from the EU delegation, Nicholas Gonze, here with us. Happy to have you, sir. And then we have the representative of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, who is the Director, Social Protection, where actually the cultural issues fall, Mr. Ebitu James. Honourable Minister here with us, allow me to recognize their Royal Highnesses who have graced this occasion. Allow me to recognize without any order of precedence, we have His Royal Highness Paul Sunday, the Paul Sunday Emerald, who is the Emormor, Papa Eteso, the King of Teso. A round of applause. We also have His Royal Highness Raphael Otaya Won Ateker Mikumam, the King of Kumam. I know there my boss, Mr. Bituk, should be clapping harder than that. We also have His Royal Highness David Onen Achana II, La Wirodi Mi Acholi, the King of Acholi. Round of applause. We have His Royal Highness Lieutenant Colonel Retired Martin Ayogi Kamia Omudingia Wawamba, the King of the Bamba. Round of applause. Here with us again, we have His Royal Highness Alia Angelo Patti, the acting King of the Lubara. You're most welcome. There are other kings that are present. I've been informed that we have been graced by the arrival of His Royal Highness Isaba Ruli, King of Bruli Kingdom, and also Chairman, Uganda Kings and Cultural Leaders Forum, here with us now. You're most welcome, Your Royal Highness. We have kings who have been represented, and allow me recognize those areas where we have representation. We have representation of His Royal Highness Robert Obara, Omwenengo wa Bugwe, King of Bugwe Kingdom, represented here. Oh yes, thank you so much. Apologies, Your Royal Highness. Somebody who wrote down the list must have made an error because we have some representations here. Ladies and gentlemen, the King, His Royal Highness himself is here with us. We have His Royal Highness Apollo Sansa Kabumbuli II, the Kamswag of Kochi, the King of Kochi Kingdom. We have also here with us His Royal Highness Ubimofil Polarkel Rauni the third. I know that we have representation at least from that kingdom of Alur. He's coming? Okay, he's on his way. Because I'd only seen his delegation so far. We also have here with us His Royal Highness Stephen Moses Owor Kwar Adola, King of the Tieng Adola Kingdom. Good to have you, sir. We have His Royal Highness Major Retired Baker Chimeze Mpaji, the second Omukama wa Bunyala Kingdom. There he is. Good to have you. We have a representative of the Lango Kings and Royal Highness, Retired Honorable Ambassador George Atingo. Thank you. We also have the arrival now of His Royal Highness Moses Stephen Owor from Tieng Adola. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if there is any cultural leader we haven't recognized, may I request the protocol team that's managing protocol to please get us the list and clearly indicate those who are present and those who are represented with clear distinction so that we don't mess up the protocol. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister, we also have here a number of CSOs we work with in implementing our programming. So I would like the members of the CSOs to stand up for recognition. We want to mention by name, but at least members of the CSOs, if you're there, you could stand up. There they are. We also have a strong team from the Department of Culture at the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development that actually manages the programming of culture issues in the country. And I would like the team to stand up for recognition. Madam Ruth there, and your other colleagues. You've been very busy to ensure that this comes to fruition. Thank you so much. If there are any other colleagues that we haven't recognized for now, we shall be recognizing more as they arrive.
Frank, thank you. I'd like to recognize amidst us the Omhikirwa of Toro Kingdom, the Honorable Stephen Chiinji. You're most welcome, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're running with a program. Your Royal Highnesses, you're most welcome. Can I... We have some Prime Ministers? Thank you. Let's recognize some Prime Ministers. These are the people who support the cultural leaders and traditional leaders deliver for the institutions that they lead. We have Prince Lawrence Opar Angala, Prime Minister Japidu Keralur. You're most welcome, sir. We are going to agree. We have cultural leaders here. If we choose to give a hand clap, we're going to give a hand clap. We're not going to do it like the weatherman, scattered showers and thunderstorms. So can we recognize Prince Lawrence Opar Angala? Thank you very much. Right Honorable Haji Eid Ahmed Chiwanuka, Prime Minister Koki Kingdom. You're most welcome, sir. Right Honorable Tuku Ismail, Prime Minister, Lukbar Cultural Institution, Lukbar Kari. Thank you. Can I invite Ruth to come and give us a brief overview? And then after that, we'll hear from the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry that handles cultural issues of culture, or cultural institution. Thank you. You're welcome, Ruth.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Mwasuze mtiano. Akironyo. I will pick everyone. So you are most welcome. This is Ministry of Gender in conjunction with UN Women and Cross Culture Foundation. And this initiative started in 2020 when we launched in November, when we launched the Cotla chapter Uganda. And the Cotla chapter, its main aim was to ensure that we utilize the culture institutions through their structures to end the vice of violence against women and girls and gender-based violence. We know that these are duty bearers, and these ones are the ones, the custodians of our practices, values, and norms, and without them, we cannot change them. So the purpose of the Cotla Uganda chapter is to ensure that they join the government together, that we can be able to fight the vice through eliminating the negative cultural practices and promoting the positive cultural practices to ensure that we protect the girls and the women and reduce violence at household level. From that, we agreed to develop documents, the documents that will help to guide, and from which the guidance will be handled and implemented by the cultural leaders alone. The Ministry of Gender will be there to coordinate as the entity that is mandated for the culture institutions, but it will be able to help the cultural leaders who will elect among themselves the chairperson of the chapter and who will be working for 3 years and hand over to another. It will be a rotational, and in this we will be able to work together and ensure each cultural institution ensures and commits to work and end the negative cultural practices. We'll have a cultural leader who is going to talk on the commitments of all the cultural leaders, and the Prime Minister, because they are the technical people in these cultural institutions, we also talk on behalf so that we have them together, and the Minister is here to listen from the words of the cultural leaders and traditional leaders to ensure that at one time she will take stock and find out whether what was committed today has been done. We have our supporters and the people who have been moving with us, the development partners, and they are here to listen. So with this, they will be able also to take the ministry on hand to ensure that how are we following our elders to ensure that we end the vice of violence against women and girls and gender-based violence. That is the basis. And we had a committee that has been working, and my committee members were being chaired by our commissioner, but she's on leave. And we have our committee members, the director of CCFU, Barbara Babwetera, the UN representative on this committee, Martin, the Ministry of Gender team, Hajara Charimpa, and others. And we had two representatives from the culture institution, the Prime Minister of Tiangadola and the Prime Minister of Arur. They were joining us in our meetings to ensure that we all work together. I wish you the best, and I know when we are here, we will make a difference in our country. May God bless you.
Thank you, Ruth. We continue to recognize our leaders, and right now I'd like to recognize His Royal Highness King Obimu, my king. You're welcome. Keralu Raoni Philip III of Foyobinu. Very, very happy to see you this morning. We'll continue swiftly with the program. Frank?
Exactly. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now move to our next agenda on the program. And I'd like to take the pleasure to invite the representative of the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Mr. James Ebitu, to speak to us and deliver his opening remarks.
Honorable Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Your Royal Highnesses, the traditional and cultural leaders, the UN Women Country Representative, Madame Paulina, representatives of UN agencies present, representatives of ministries and departments, our dear Prime Ministers of traditional and cultural institutions, representatives of civil society, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As already introduced, I'm James Ebitu, the Director in charge of Social Protection in the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. I'm standing in for the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Agre David Chibenge, who is not able to be with us here because of other official commitments. On behalf of the technical team of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, and on my own behalf, I convey to you warm greetings and best wishes on this occasion of the national launch of important instruments for the operationalization of the Council of Traditional and Cultural Leaders in Africa, Cotla, the Uganda chapter. I wish to welcome and appreciate our chief guest and all the eminent leaders present in this room for setting aside time to witness this historic event in the storyline of Cotla Uganda chapter. The launch of Cotla strategic plan, the charter, and the operational plan is a critical milestone in the storyline of Cotla Uganda. And this will set a stage for sustained action of this institution. Ladies and gentlemen, you may recall that when Cotla Uganda chapter was launched in November 2020, the 14 traditional institutions at that time made a number of commitments. Key among them was to incorporate ending violence against women and girls in the institutional agenda. A draft charter for the Uganda chapter and an interim work plan were adopted by the cultural leaders. And a detailed rollout plan was also agreed upon. However, the prevalence of COVID-19 then disrupted the progress envisaged at the time. Nonetheless, we are pleased that Cotla, with the support of reliable partners well represented in this room today, has been able to execute some of the critical activities on the roadmap, albeit with adjusted timelines. We are absolutely happy that the foundation steps for the effective operationalization and functionality of Cotla Uganda chapter are systematically being instituted. There's no doubt that this will spur the progress in the execution of the mandate of the traditional and cultural institutions in Uganda. I would like, therefore, to express our sincere appreciation to everyone who has played a pivotal role in the development of these critical forward-looking documents. Your commitment and dedication is highly commended by the Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development. I wish to implore all the users of these strategic documents to take time to internalize them for effective application in the day-to-day work of Cotla Uganda chapter. Being working documents, you'll agree with me, it's important that you strictly monitor the implementation with a view of documenting what is working well and what is not working that well in order to inform future reviews if necessary. As your mother ministry, we commit to provide the necessary support to the extent possible. Honorable Minister, allow me to say something briefly, and as I go to say this, I would like just to know by show of hands how many prime ministers of cultural and traditional institutions are in the room. You don't need to stand up, just by show of hands. So there are many, let's clap for them. I would like to specifically address this team because, Honorable Minister, as you know, we don't directly talk to the front line. These people in front, we always relate with the prime ministers directly because to us they are the accounting officers. They are the ones who are responsible for the implementation of what is agreed by the principals here. And my message to you, I know you've been asking questions, especially related to the issue of the payment of honoraria to the cultural leaders. I know my minister will say more about this later. I know I've already been requested, Honorable Minister, even in your absence, as the kings were waiting, questions were coming. But let me just mention that for now, what is provided for in the budget is for 14 cultural leaders, and those are being paid. The additional 3 new ones who have come on board, we congratulate you, and we want to promise and ensure that your emoluments are also addressed going forward. And indeed, my minister and the team at the ministry have been working with the Minister of Finance to request for supplementary provisions so that whatever is due to you is paid. But all these are discussions which are going to result into something we're quite sure of. Even as we speak now, my minister and her team are supposed to be in Parliament to discuss some of these matters. So let's be patient. I thank you so far for your patience. We'll continue relaying this information to you as and when it comes. Chief guest, our Honorable Minister, as I conclude, I would like to once again to thank in a very special way the Royal Highnesses and all the traditional cultural leaders who have accompanied you for gracing this function with your very presence. I would also like to express our gratitude to our distinguished partners, most especially members of the UN family, that's UN Women, UNICEF, UNFPA, and Cross Cultural Foundation of Uganda for their enduring support to the process of development of the documents that we are going to launch here today, and for being present in the journey of Cotla, Uganda. Congratulations everyone involved in bringing the Cotla Uganda chapter to fruition. Together, we will make a lasting impact. I thank you all for your kind attention, and I say this for God and my country. May God bless you.
Thank you. We continue to recognize our guests as they arrive. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize the Honorable Mugamba Tembo, representing the Omusinga, Charles Wembley Mumbere from Rwenzururu Kingdom. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, we have a ministers, the Right Honorable Mubulia Wilson, Prime Minister of Odingia Wawamba. You're most welcome, sir. Frank had recognized the Right Honorable Obo Richard Josel, Prime Minister Tiangadola, with us. You're most welcome, sir. We have the Deputy Prime Minister of the Iteso Cultural Union. You're most welcome. We have the Prime Minister of Bukama Bwaburuli, Kosia Samuel. You're most welcome, sir. Mr. Francis W. Mashate, Prime Minister Inzu Yabamasaba. You're most welcome, sir. Andrew Byakutaga, Bunyoro Obukama Bunyoro Kitara. You're most welcome, sir. Mbabazi Aida Loy Sanswa, Minister in OBR. You're most welcome. Thank you. We're moving on. May we have remarks from the representative of UN Women? Most welcome.
Your Royal Highnesses, the cultural and traditional leaders present here today, prime ministers from various kingdoms, Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, my sister Honorable Betty Among, Mr. Nicholas representing the EU delegation, representative from the government, civil society members who are here today, members from the media, colleagues from the UN, and the representative from the Resident Coordinator's Office. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you here today with profound respect and shared commitment to tackling one of the most critical challenges of our time, the eradication against violence against women and girls. As we all know, the prevalence of violence in our communities is alarming. The statistics are stark, with over half of women experiencing physical or sexual violence in their lifetime, or sometimes both. And a quarter of girls giving birth by the age of 18 or before 18th birthday. And this is one of the highest rates in East Africa. We have surpassed Kenya and Tanzania. Uganda, we are leading on this one. And in Uganda, every 13 minutes, gender-based violence-related crimes are reported to the police. So our distinguished Royal Highnesses, cultural and traditional leaders, you hold a unique position of trust, position of influence within our communities. Your wisdom traditions, and values are the very fabric that weaves our societies together. Today, I commend each one of you for mobilizing your collective influence to combating violence against women and girls in your communities. I think what we have achieved so far, we would not have been able to achieve without you, without the work that we've been doing in the community. So we really appreciate all the effort to make Uganda a country free from violence. Let's clap for our traditional leaders. So the launch of Cotla chapter for Uganda in 2020 marked a significant commitment. The Uganda strategic documents are born out of a long and consultative process, which I think all of us have been involved. The process involved key partners, including the distinguished cultural leaders, the Minister of Gender and Social Development, and the Cross-Cultural Foundation of Uganda. And I thank you all for making this possible. Cultural and traditional leaders play crucial roles as custodians of our heritage and values, and we depend on you, we rely on you. Your authority and influence can redefine societal norms, challenging harmful traditions, perpetuating violence and discrimination. So let us publicly condemn violence and send powerful messages that violence has no place in our communities. Your influence is vital in creating safe spaces for dialogue. The strategy provides a cohesive guidance for addressing violence against women and girls and gender-related discrimination. We commend your commitment to translating these documents into action. As UN Women, we remain committed to the implementation of this strategy and mitigating the violence perpetrated against millions of women and girls in Uganda. In conclusion, I recommend using the strategy to demonstrate your commitment to eliminating violence against women and girls, strengthening partnership, prioritizing action on harmful social norms, and disseminating the strategy widely among your communities. We need to work together, and as UN Women, we are committed to work together with all cultural leaders. Of course, we continue to work together with the government and all stakeholders. I extend my gratitude to the Embassy of Sweden in Uganda and the delegation of the European Union, who continue to enable this work to take place. They have been our main supporter for this action. I also extend my gratitude to our sister agencies who are working with us jointly to tackle these issues. And of course, to the government, through the Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, who continue to provide leadership in advancing gender equality and women's empowerment in Uganda. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam Paulina Chiwangu, for those remarks. And UN Women, we want to thank you for being a very, very good partner in supporting the programming around ending violence against women and girls. Just the other day, we were in Chiriandongo at a very colorful event where we were launching the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And it's very, very monumental that this meeting, where we have all the cultural leaders, traditional leaders together in one hall, falls under the 16 days of activism to end gender-based violence. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, may we now invite our next speaker, a representative of the Prime Ministers of Cultural Institutions to deliver remarks on behalf of the Prime Ministers.
Thank you very much, the protocol team. Your Royal Highnesses, the kings and traditional leaders of different cultural institutions, the Honorable Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, the Right Honorable Prime Ministers of different cultural institutions, the UN resident representative present here, the EU representative, the representative of the Permanent Secretary, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me some in that way. May I take this honor and opportunity to welcome you all at this meeting where we are launching the key strategic documents for the Council of Traditional Leaders in Africa, Uganda chapter, Cotla. I take this opportunity to appreciate the support of my colleagues, my fellow prime ministers, who have entrusted me to speak on their behalf. Indeed, we have jointly taken on this task since November 2020, when Cotla was officially launched to date. The Council of Traditional Leaders in Africa, Cotla, is a Pan-African movement of progressive traditional leaders established to promote gender equality, to end child marriages, female genital mutilation, and other harmful practices by 2030. The movement was launched in Addis Ababa in 2019, where Uganda was represented by the Queen Mother of Toro, Best Kemigisha. A resolution was made at another meeting in Zambia, Lusaka, to start the Cotla Uganda chapter. With the financial support of the UN Women under the EU UN Spotlight Initiative to end violence against women and girls, and the Embassy of Sweden, the Cross-Cultural Foundation of Uganda, in partnership with the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, organized an initial consultation with prime ministers or their representatives then of the 16 cultural institutions. The idea to have a national chapter was then agreed upon, and hence the launch. Taking the initiative a step further, in 2021 and 2022, fully fledged consultations to operationalize Cotla Uganda chapter were made at regional levels in the 4 regions in the country. In the north, consultations were made in Gulu with representatives of the cultural institutions in the northern region. In the east, consultations were made in Mbale with all the representatives of the cultural institutions in the eastern region. Then in the central, consultations were made in Masaka for all the representatives of the cultural institutions within the region. And in the west, consultations were made in Fort Portal, where the Western cluster were able to contribute their ideas. Other key individuals and African chapters were consulted for their technical guidance. This led to the current developments of the different documents to guide the operation of the chapter, the strategic plan, the charter, and the manual. The prime ministers or their respective representatives consulted with the respective cultural institutions' leadership before embarking on a validation process which took place mid this year. The documents have been launched. The documents are to be launched today, and what remains is for us to operationalize the chapter and strategic plan by contributing towards eliminating all forms of violence against women and girls. On behalf of the Prime Ministers, as the technical wing of Cotla, Uganda, we commit to supporting the chapter and ensuring implementation of initiatives to end violence against women and girls. The next key action for us as Prime Ministers is to elect our leadership that will usher us into collective work. I wish to extend our sincere gratitude to the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, the Close Cultural Foundation of Uganda, and UN Women for the technical leadership and guidance provided. We also extend our gratitude to our cultural leaders of the different institutions within this country for granting us an opportunity to serve the nation in the capacity we are doing. I say all this for God and my country. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get a bit of entertainment. The entertainers in the house, ladies and gentlemen, are Crane performers, specialists in beautiful cultural music. I welcome them to entertain us right now. Thank you.
Ukashatwala bana bawawe angombe naye yesinabula mwawe ukenibya ukashatwala bana bawe angombe naye yesinabula mwawe ukenibya ukashatwala bana bawe angombe naye yesinabula mwawe ukenibya ukashatwala bana bawe angombe naye yesinabula kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana urira magunja sabo kana magunja mage ana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe bani wa baruje mwevuge kana mwetwane mbuga kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe ibangola badaka bambono wa mama gunja kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe magunja sabo kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe bani wa baruje mwevuge kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe bani wa baruje mwevuge kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe ibangola badaka bambono kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe bani wa kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe ibangola badaka bambono kana magunja sabo kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe wa baruje mwevuge kana magunja sabo kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe bani wa baruje mwevuge kana magunja mage kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe ibangola badaka bambono kana magunja mage kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe ibana genari tema mama abo budiko bakatema kako mage mama ne jaja yakatema mama dalide ilmano mari dalide arindagalari korine dalide ilmano mari dalide arindagalari dalide ilmano mari dalide arindagalari korine dalide ilmano mari dalide arindagalari korine amake wagombolo mudada chobere de kasige kata tene chokwe amake wagombolo dada chobere de kasige kata tene chokwe kakasuyo mukona keno kakasuyo mukona keno zendi mwana wana mulondo ali jagala linkomera ulira ndi mwana wana mulondo ali jagala linkomerera Yesu kusafe biri zeza tonye ngolole kanesu likondawe Yesu kusafe biri zeza tonye ngolole kanesu likondawe ulira magunja sabo kana magunja bange kana magunja kazini baba budiko kana mabe bani wa baruje mwevuge kana magunja kazini baba budiko tie mwana wa mbei na shehu yelo 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 mwana wa mbei wabasamya mwana wa mbei oumbelese mwana wa mbei wabasamya mwana wa mbei na shehu yelo.
Thank you very much. I don't hear that appreciation, especially from the back benches. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the activities this morning are running live on NBS TV. We also have an online audience, so we have more people following what is going on this launch outside. It's not just limited to the people in this hall. So we appreciate all of you being here. Your Royal Highnesses, thank you for coming. The Prime Ministers representing other traditional and cultural institutions, you're most welcome. May I, at this moment, invite, you've heard the representative of the Prime Ministers talk about the role played by the Queen Mother of Toro Kingdom. She's not here herself, but she has a representative, Dr. Odita Katuramu. You're most welcome. Come and give the remarks for the Queen Mother, Toro Kingdom. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. What a beautiful audience we have. The minister, all cultural leaders, all prime ministers. I would like to observe the protocol in the interest of time. And all of you in your respective statuses. And straight away, I beg to deliver the speech from Her Royal Highness in the interest of time. As a founder member of Cotla, I'm proud today, and it's a glorious feeling to see where Cotla is today. We launched Cotla Uganda chapter in November 2020, and now a strategic plan. I had a privilege of networking with many traditional leaders due to my inherent passion for developmental agenda of all traditional leaders across Africa. As we all know, passion is energy. We have within us strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars in order to change the world. As a founder, I'm happy to see Cotla reach this far. A person with a new idea is a crank until the idea succeeds. Let me share with you that the person who walks his own way can't be overtaken. I'm equally blessed to have worked with UN Women and all traditional leaders present on the role of culture in promoting rights of women and girls across Africa. From our consultative meetings held in Nairobi, which was the first one, Blantyre, Lagos, Dakar, where we emphasized and affirmed a strong network in which we can work as custodians of culture to end all forms of discrimination against women. As traditional leaders, we also see how we can transform and eradicate negative practices against women and girls. Therefore, we need to ensure action, partnership, and explore opportunities. Dakar Declaration of 2019, for example, the first African summit on female genital mutilation and child marriage was a success. It was agreed that all traditional leaders work collectively and develop strategies for elimination of harmful practices through concrete actions with grassroots communities. Our discussions as traditional leaders are based on human rights, laws, policies, and the role of traditional leaders in this regard. On November 27, 2020, at the launching of Uganda chapter, we all agreed that Cotla would be a voice to harness and amplify the voice of traditional and cultural leaders in Uganda so that we can contribute towards Pan-Africanism, the vision of an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa. Our concept, therefore, can inspire social cohesion, self-esteem, and advancement of sustainable development goals. As traditional leaders, let us promote the ideal society according to Mahatma Gandhi, a philosophy which he lives with us. And what does it say? We believe in God, trust, morality, ethics of life, dignity, justice, equality, liberty, and fraternity. On the launch of a strategic plan today puts Cotla on another level. For example, it will help us define the direction in which Cotla will move, and will help to establish the realistic objectives and goals that are in line with vision and mission of Cotla. It will also create a sense of collaboration and collective responsibility for all of us. And lastly, I want all traditional leaders present, our partners, UN Women, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, Cross-Cultural Foundation in Uganda, and all women organizations who continue to fight for women's rights, and all people who participated in this launch of Cotla Strategic Plan. Thank you so much. God bless you, and Aruta continua.
Utari mugaya munywanyi wawe kwairi, utari mugaya aira kataito. Utari mugaya munywanyi wawe kwairi, utari mugaya aira kataito. Utari mugaya munywanyi wawe kwairi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that message from the Queen Mother. The Queen Mother has been a strong pillar to ensuring that this coalition comes in place and this partnership is created to advance key issues of development, and especially fighting against violence against women and girls in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I would like to take the pleasure to invite the representative of the EU to come and speak to us as we move close to the official launch occasion. After him, it will be the Honorable Minister who will come and make her remarks, and thereafter we shall have the launch event as we proceed. You're most welcome.
Honorable Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, Betty Amongi, Your Royal Highnesses from cultural and traditional institutions, leaders and representatives of cultural and traditional institutions, the UN Women country representative from the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, representative of civil society organizations, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very glad to stand with you today during the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence to launch the Cotla's Strategic Plan, Charter and Operational Manual. Cotla Uganda chapter brings together traditional and cultural leaders in Uganda to promote gender equality and violence against women and girls and harmful practices such as early marriage and female genital mutilation, and promote their sexual and reproductive health and rights. I would like to stress the importance of the Cotla's mission, which is to harness and amplify, like it was said, the voices of progressive traditional and cultural leaders at continental, region and national levels to meaningfully contribute towards a prosperous Africa that respects the human rights of girls and women. Violence against women and girls is a major obstacle to the fulfillment of women and girls' rights and to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals and Uganda's development objectives. With 1 in 4 teenage girls being pregnant, a proportion which has not decreased in recent years, teenage pregnancies remain a key issue in Uganda. We are glad that the EU-funded Spotlight has supported Cotla Uganda since its inception in 2020. Spotlight is a global initiative in which the EU has teamed up with the UN family to take a leading role in the eradication of violence against women and girls, which is a global priority for the EU. Uganda is one of the few countries in the world which has benefited from this initiative. Spotlight brings together a large coalition of actors, government, at national and local levels, civil society, private sector, cultural and traditional leaders to address negative social norms, combat gender-based violence, and reinforce access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. Honorable Minister, I would also like to commend your personal commitment and the work of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development in spearheading national efforts against gender-based violence. To conclude, I would like to reiterate EU commitment and Team Europe commitment to support your national efforts to offer all Ugandan girls and women a bright future, to reap the dividend of the demographic transition and fulfill Uganda's vision to become a modern and prosperous country. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, the EU, for those remarks, and our appreciation to the EU for supporting the Spotlight initiative, now running in its second phase after the end of the first phase, with flying colors of achievements in that regard. And we are good to have here with us also the coordinator of Spotlight initiative, Shaba Luta, who is here with us. Wherever you are, you could wave to the people, please. And the entire team from the EU. We also have Thomas Kamusime, who is the advisor on gender and conflict and human rights at the EU. We also have Beatrice Mulindwa, who is the UN Women Access to Justice Program Specialist there. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just gone live on TV, and it's very important that for the TV audience, we give them the opportunity to know who are the kings that are here with us this morning. And for that, I'm going to do that role with my sister, Kerunen. I'll start by recognizing the presence here of His Royal Highness Paul Sande Emolot, the Emormol Papa Iteso, the King of Teso Kingdom. Very good. We also have His Royal Highness Rafal Otaya Won Ateker Mikumam, the King of the Kumam. Apoyo. We also have His Royal Highness David Onen Achana II, Lawirodi Mi Acholi, the King of Acholi. Apoyo Neni. We also have His Royal Highness Lieutenant Colonel Retired Martin Ayogi Kamya Omudingia Wabamba, King of the Wamba. Good to see you, sir. We also have here with us His Royal Highness Alia Anzelo Pati, the acting king of the Lubara.
Thank you, and would like to also recognize His Royal Highness Robert Obara Omwenengo Bwabugwe, King of Bugwe Kingdom. We also recognize His Royal Highness Apollo Samsa Kabumuli II, Kochi, King of Kochi Kingdom. His Royal Highness, my King, Your Highness Obimofeo Polarkel Rauni III, Wafoyo. His Royal Highness Stephen Moses Owor Kwar Adola, King of Tiengadola Kingdom. His Royal Highness Major Retired Becca Kimeze Mpaji of Mukamabwa, Bunyala Kingdom. And yeah, thank you.
We also have His Royal Highness Isaba Ruli, King of Ruli Kingdom, and also Chairman, Uganda Kings and Cultural Leaders Forum. Good to have you. Allow me also declare my allegiance to my King, the King of Alur Keralur. I'm your subject from Ochegu Chiefdom, right in the municipality. The only chiefdom that is in the municipality out of the 56 in Alur Kingdom. And I'm very happy to see you, my King.
And also your humble servant, Susan Kerunen from Zombo.
So what a pleasure to have two subjects
very honored and happy to have
at the podium here this morning. And with that joy, we would like to invite the Honorable Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, Honorable Amongi Betty Ongom, to come and deliver her remarks and launch the 3 strategic documents. A round of applause. As she comes, we also have Simon Nangiro, Chairperson, Karamoja Elders Association.
Wow. So today I've known that Frank is from the kingdom of Alu. I've been hearing Frank Mugambe. I thought this man is from Busoga. So you can see the power of a king being seated here. He has made the Frank to come out. Thank you very much, Your Royal Highnesses, the traditional or cultural leaders, the EU representative to Uganda, the UN country representative, the prime ministers of traditional cultural institutions, representative of civil society, and all of you, especially my ministry technical team and the technical team that has put up this together. Let's give them a very big round of applause. I am honored to be associated with this launch. Actually, today I should have been in Parliament. And breaking Parliament's rule is not easy. I had to tell them, if you're going to punish me for not being in Parliament, I will accept the punishment, because the team that is in Africana, where I should be, if I'm not there, I think I would have done government a big disservice. So I decided that whatever the case, but I want to thank the chairperson of our committee who graciously accepted that tomorrow I can appear, so that today I give this time to this very wonderful team that come here to make a big commitment. And the Prime Minister who spoke on behalf of the rest of the Prime Ministers, let's give him a round of applause. Because he made clear commitments on what I should be saying. He said, you are a progressive forum that works for gender equality and reforming cultural norms that subjugate women and girls. I recognize that today, this particular forum forms part of the activities to mark the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And your Council for Traditional Leaders in Africa, Uganda chapter, is launching strategic documents that will guide your operations in the coming 5 years. These are strategic plan, operation manual, and the charter. These documents portray your commitment to ensure that you promote human rights, especially to tackle violence against women and girls. Your association, Cotla, has been utilizing cultural resources to promote gender equality and child marriage and other harmful customs, while amplifying the positive practices of our traditions and our values. Your association gears towards transforming and empowering the lives of girls, of women, of families, and communities. And we have worked with you. I have been to some of your meetings. I've seen UNFPA, I've seen Plan International, I've seen many organizations work with you directly. And I follow, I can commit that your association of Cotla is very important, and I would like to thank my ministry, UN Women, and in collaboration with Cross Cultural Foundation of Uganda for supporting you and putting this together, and the Spotlight Initiative for the support that we continue to have to run this forum. Your forum was launched in November 2020, and today I am told you are going to yet again reaffirm it by electing one of you to steer us for the next 5 or so years. And these documents we are launching today will guide the leaders that you are electing today to work with us to ensure that the vision and the mission and the strategy geared towards ensuring that we fight the increased incidences of violence against women and girls, harmful practices such as early marriages, teenage pregnancy, female genital mutilation, and promoting sexual and reproductive health and access to justice is achieved. As a minister, I sit every day and I have to ask myself, what is the major impediment to women's empowerment? And indeed, number one impediment becomes the traditional and cultural norms that still subjugate women. Because traditional and cultural norms define the rules and expectation of our behaviors in our cultural entity. So most of us first come to look at how we behave through our customs. And it is those customs that define our relationship with the law, our relationship with the community, with how we work. And so it is, of course, from my work, it has become eminent that there are some negative cultural norms that still undermines the rights of women and girls. They are entrenched. You who are here are custodians of those social norms and culture. And I think that's why we are all today. We are all making a commitment that we must preserve positive cultural norms and values, but also deal with those that are negative and ensure that, as the Constitution provides, we reform those traditions that have created an environment that perpetuates abuse of the rights of women and girls and children. Because even children, boys and girls, there are certain culture that still undermines them. Today, we also want to remind you as custodians of this culture that these beliefs have also been preventing women from having certain rights in society. For example, customary norms which prevent women from inheriting or owning property are reinforced within the cultural norms. But I'm glad that many traditions and customs are now reforming to understand that women can work, women can own property, but we still have this entrenched, especially for women in the rural area. That's still a problem. And these cultural norms are embodied in what you call, what is your laws. And those laws, by the way, 80% of women access justice through your system, not through courts of law. Am I correct? So if we do not work with you to deal with these matters, then we are leaving behind the 80% who is not like me, who can walk in courts of law. When Honorable Akena beats me, God forbid, he has never beaten me, I can walk to court. But these are people like us who can walk to court. But what about the 80% of the women? So that's why it is very important to work with you. Because at the moment, we still operate in Uganda the two approach to justice and law. The legal justice and the customary justice. That's why even in marriage, there is the marriage which is Christian recognized. There is civil marriage recognized. But there is customary marriage which is recognized, even in the laws. And I have not known people who do not start with the traditional marriage. Even when they want to go to church to wed, or they want to go to civil courts, most of the people will still go back and start with traditional marriage. Why? Because it is a rule that will make your marriage to be recognized. If I don't get married traditionally, then I do not have a space where I'm going to be buried. Am I correct? So, you can see how powerful you people seated here are. You control us. We can be seated here with our PhD, with our masters, with our ministers, with our presidents, with our all the titles you can talk about. But at the end of it, there was a time somebody, a very big professor, worked in London, did everything, and was a very powerful person in London. So after retirement, he came back to Uganda. And when he came back to Uganda, he wanted to go back to Bugisu. But he was not circumcised. He could not go back to Bugisu because he was not what? So he tried, people will tell him, if you go there, it will not work. So one time, a group of men came and grabbed him from Uganda House. I was there witnessing. I saw it because I asked, what is happening with that man? They said, no, the man was not circumcised. He came back from London. He has retired. He has refused to go back home. So the clan leaders have come. They have grabbed him. They grabbed him. They took him and they circumcised him at the age of 72. I think because maybe in that culture, if he was not circumcised, maybe I don't know whether he would have been not been called a man or not been buried or what. I don't know. But he was circumcised. So you can see the power of your role. We want to partner with you to ensure that this custodian, the gateway to justice, the gateway to empowerment, we work together to ensure that these customary laws should recognize the fact that women and girls should be protected. I also recall the time when I was the chairperson of the Women's Caucus in Parliament. So they brought this marriage and divorce bill. So we started going around to sensitize the public about marriage and divorce bill. And one of the provisions in that bill, two of them, that made many men to ask me very difficult question. One was marital sex. So it was providing that when you are married and you force a woman or your wife into sex, then it is called marital rape. Then the traditional leaders started telling all the MPs who were, but what is marital rape? The fact that I have married you in our culture is a gateway to having marital sex. So at what point are you going to say this is rape? Actually, I recall the deputy speaker made an analogy when he was debating, and he said, it is like going into a plane. You have taken off, the plane is mid-air. At what point are you going to tell me you stop, that is marital rape? You can see that example. That at what point are you going to tell me it is marital rape? The other one was on matrimonial property, where the bill was providing that matrimonial property, when you can share, you share equally. So the men said, now for me, I've married you, I've brought you to my home, this is my land, we are in this land together, but this land is mine, and it's for the clan. Now you are saying, at divorce, it should be shared equally. So where will I put you? And if you marry another man, are you going to bring that man in that land where we have shared together, or what? Is that a legitimate question? So you can see the complexity of that, because I think socially, culture had made people to know and to believe that we should all be in harmony, but those are the positive ones which we want to move together with you. And access to justice for us is very important. because customary laws and traditions are the ones that solve the small issues that when, for example, the issue of defilement, we've made the law on defilement, but many times people go for defilement cases in police, and then they go negotiate, and at the end of it, they go and withdraw the cases. It is happening. You talk about violence, domestic violence, which forms part of your strategic program. A man and a woman are at home, they fight, they beat each other, then they go to, the wife goes to police. It will be the clan leaders to go and say, no, don't ashame the family. We will look after your children. Please bring back the case. Let us solve it here. So what we are saying is those are justice that requires you. We are asking you that start with prevention. Let these people please, not your clan members, teach them. Let them understand that beating your wife, beating your girl, beating your child is not good. Defiling is not good. And cooperate with the justice system, cooperate with the police, give evidence. Because if one case succeeds, it deters others. That is the cooperation we want from you. The hearings, the rulings, because most of the cases start from you, and you sit and rule. I'm glad that most of you now have included women and youth in your structure of leadership. At least when Papa Morimor was doing his election, I followed closely, and his kingdom is one of those that has integrated women, youth, I think even persons with disability. So please, bring that perspective to the traditional system so that we can achieve traditional justice together. Because there are many reforms that will ask of you, issues of inheritance. In most of your tradition, inheritance, girl child is not supposed to inherit the property of the father. But these days, I'm glad, and I want to thank His Excellency the President, that he has been the major advocate of saying, instead of us talking about women's rights, can we start with the homes to say, when you have children, let your children share whatever wealth you've created together. That is the position of the President. And so I hope that some of these reforms in rules, in how we treat people, those that are positive, can be, through your Cotla forum, can be addressed and reformed. There are many issues of your rules and your traditional customs which prohibit women from owning property, acquiring assets, and issues around distribution of property, inheritance, which sometimes a widow may ask only girl children, and the husband dies. And then they said, no, you don't have a boy child. So there is no person to inherit. Then they go to look for the brother of the what? The brother of the husband to the person to come and inherit the property that she could have toiled so much. So please, those are areas that we want collaboration. Therefore, this collaboration is very important to enable us partner to create reforms to tackle the social norms that are still undermining the rights of women and girls. And we appreciate the unique role of cultural leaders and your structure in addressing these problems that I have enumerated. You remain our leader in that, and you will, we will continue to work with you to play a significant role in addressing the issues of gender-based violence, promoting peaceful coexistence, mutual respect, equality, addressing non-progressive cultural and religious practices, norms, and beliefs that should enable women and girls to thrive in society. And the government has already made legal framework for you to rely on. We have the Constitution, which already talks about banning any culture and norms and values that violate the rights of women and girls. That's Article 32, 33. You already have the Domestic Violence Act, the Defilement Act. You have several laws that can enable you to use it to teach your subjects as custodians of the norms. Government has also put in place institutions to support you, and His Excellency the President, of course, realizing that the informal system through the cultural institution is important, restored the cultural institution and traditional, and in line with our constitution and other laws, we have put in place regulations. And I also want to indicate to you that His Excellency the President has asked me to tell you that you should use your institution to mobilize your subject for social development and to ensure that you popularize government program. His Excellency has indicated he does not want you to lead subjects that are poor, and that because they listen to you, you should always ensure that you make them financially stable. Secondly, His Excellency the President has also requested me to notify you that he wants you as a team, now that you have this forum, that you should organize a conference for traditional or cultural institution in September 2024. That it should be a 2-day event that you should organize. I've already told my UN rep, and I'm also notifying the EU and all of you that His Excellency has said he wants this in September. So I'm now giving you the assignment through Cotla, that through your secretariat and my team from the Ministry of Gender, come up with the concept note, with the budget, with everything, so that your team can go with me to brief His Excellency the President how you want this conference to be. What are the topics you want to be tackled in this conference? The third issue His Excellency the President has asked me to tell you is that when he visited the King of Japadola, Tiang Adola, he enumerated to him the concerns related to your facilitation, and he agreed with him. And for that, he has directed that we in the Ministry of Gender, since the budget process has started, we should budget a facilitation for all the recognized cultural institutions to increase from the current 5 million to 60 million per month for the cultural institution. So, and he has made that commitment. I have already met with the deputy speaker who was in the chair when the speaker was on leave. I've notified him of His Excellency the President directive, and today's meeting in Parliament is meant to also present that directive to be integrated in the budget. There are issues that he has indicated which he has asked that we assess in the ministry, whether it can start in the next financial year or in the subsequent one. If the 60 million is too much, or if it's not too much and can be managed, he has asked that we add onto the issue of a vehicle for the running the institution. Already we have vehicles for the cultural leaders, which is in the law. Some of you have already been given, which is a vehicle and a lead car and a bodyguard. But he has also said that when he was with the king, and some of you also, you have indicated that the prime ministers are your soldiers who run around to do your work, but they do not have transport. So the 60 million you are meant to budget to support the work of the institution and the king. So you will know how you separate, how you budget for the 60 million, what to give the king and what to run the kingdom. But the vehicle for the prime minister also have been asked if it is possible to add on the 60 million this financial year, I add it. If the 60 million becomes too much for my burden, then I can add the vehicle for the Prime Minister in the next budget. I think that's a good proposal. But I will start with both. I will start with both the 60 million plus the Prime Minister's running around vehicle. Then we'll battle from Parliament. I know that Parliament also has kings and they will listen to us. So I want to appreciate your Royal Highnesses for participating in this launch amidst the busy schedule. Let's give them a hand of, really, let's clap for them. You know, these people are not easy to get. For them to come and sit here, it's not easy. And you can see, you know, when the king of Allur came, he walked and sat. And then I was looking. Someone came and did something I didn't understand. So I was like, what is that? But I'm going to ask the person who did it to tell me what it is, because even if I ask Frank, he doesn't know. He's saying that is a clan, that his clan is in a municipality. He might not know why they did. So we are grateful for your coming, and I want to thank our financiers, UN Women, the ambassador of EU, the Swedish embassy who supports us, and all the stakeholders who has joined us today. And it's my hope that the commitment we'll sign today will be actualized and popularized to make a meaning in the lives of those that you protect. I thank you, and I wish all of you journey mercies. So we are waiting to launch these very important documents and sign. I am now giving Frank to ask those who will come, but after we've launched, a representative of the king will now say something to give a commitment from the kings on what the document, how it will be implemented, and maybe if they want to talk about what the president has said and how they want to push me, or they are going to forgive me to leave the prime ministers out for now. Prime ministers are more than them, I think. So, prime ministers, is it okay that we start with the 60 and yours come in the other financial year? Both? You see? I knew.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Now we are going to do the symbolic launch. And may I request the EU representative, UN Women, the Permanent Secretary, to come and join the Honorable Minister in launching this. May we have representation from the cultural institutions? Let's go slowly, carefully. Put it in the middle, please.
So these are 3 documents for the Council of Traditional Leaders in Africa, Uganda chapter, that we are launching today. So I will launch it, and give it to the representative of the king of the association, and I think it's the king of Allure.
Yes,
Allure.
the king of Allure, yes.
You can see Frank. Hey, today, I have known Frank today. So let me start by launching the Council of Traditional Leaders in Africa, Cotla, Uganda Chapter Strategic Plan 2023-2027.
Round of
And it's
applause.
over to the
Obugalo.
With that, I am also adding the Charter of the Council of Uganda of Traditional Leaders in Africa, Uganda Chapter, and the Council of Traditional Leaders in Africa, Uganda Chapter Operational Manual. Again, handing it over to the representative of the kings, the king of Allure.
Obugalo. Round of applause.
So I will sign my commitment as we
Honorable, to unveil it first.
we unveil first.
Yes.
This thing of yours, you first.
There is a
We
technician
need to
called
be unveiled.
Aliguma right there. The technician called Aliguma will guide on how to do this.
The representative of the king has to go that side and unveil with me.
Oh.
So we are now unveiling one. You can hold down. 1, 2, 3.
Yes. A round of applause from everyone here. A round of applause. Thank you so much, Honourable Minister. We now have the symbolic signing. The symbolic signing. The Honourable Minister is appending her signature onto the 3 documents. Then after we shall have the King. Okay. The kings now will append their signatures. There we go. A round of applause as this happens, ladies and gentlemen, because it's been a long journey. Developing these key documents is very, very important and key to the operationalization of the council. And today it means we are good to go. We are ready to move towards ending violence against women and girls with our cultural institutions in the lead. This is very, very important. There we go. UN Women Representative Paulina Chiwangu signing off. Thank you so much. And then the EU delegation representative. There he goes. There we go, the permanent secretary representative, Mr. James Sebitu, who is the Director of Social Protection at the Ministry of Gender, signed off. And there we go with our last signature now. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been it, the symbolic launch. Honourable Minister, as you said, as you wound up your remarks, now it's an opportunity to listen to the cultural leaders in terms of their vision for this and their commitments. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming a representative of the cultural leaders to speak to us now.
The chief guest, the Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, my fellow traditional and cultural leaders of various traditional or cultural institutions in Uganda, and your respective prime ministers, the head of missions, embassies, and representatives of various international parastatals, including UNDP, UN Women, UNFPA, representatives from central and local governments, representatives of religious institutions, representatives of civil societies, the media, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the traditional and cultural leaders of the 17 Gazette cultural institutions in Uganda, and on behalf of Ke Kwaro Acholi, I wish to welcome you all to this important event as we launch the Cotla Uganda chapter strategic documents. Cotla Uganda is our umbrella coalition within which progressive cultural leaders are uniting to end violence against women and girls and advocate for positive social norms and practices that empower our communities. Launched in 2020, the Cotla Uganda chapter is grounded in the utilization of cultural resources to promote gender equality and end child marriages and other harmful customs, while amplifying positive practices, principles, and values to transform and empower the lives of women, girls, families, and communities in Uganda by 2030. Severally, culture has been blamed for the violation of rights of women and girls. Whereas we acknowledge the existence of some of the harmful cultural practices in our communities, limited efforts and thoughts have been given to the fact that our diverse culture are rich with various cultural resources that have the potential to contribute to the existing efforts to protect and promote the rights of women and girls. As cultural institutions, we have structures that spread to the lowest family units. We have our centuries-old principles and values that promote humaneness and collective social responsibility towards one another. Our cultures are saturated and rich with positive norms and practices that, if harnessed, have the potential to end all forms of violence against women and girls. Your Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, we have the principles of humaneness. In the case of Acholi, we call it Kitmati, Ubuntu among our colleagues from Western Uganda, Ubuntu Bulamu in the central, and Kwaramatira in the northwestern part of Uganda. We have traditional learning spaces such as the fireplace, which again, for the case of Acholi, is Wang O and other Luos, Aperit and Ekeno for boys and girls, respectively, in Karamoja. These are not exceptional, but have similarities across Africa. We do encourage all our development partners to always conduct research and identify these positive cultural resources and mainstream them in their interventions to address violence against women and girls. Sometimes Individual actions are mistaken for the culture, and this we condemn. Your Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, to achieve our desired milestones, men and boys must come on board to collectively address violence against women and girls. We should not forget that there are also some men who are suffering silently. I have a case in northern Uganda where about 42 men who were violated in between 1987 and 1992 are there suffering silently, and nobody has come out to help them. Our cultures provide for a socio-cultural responsibility to protect our mothers, wives, daughters, and any female gender in our communities. The Cotla Uganda chapter is an opportunity for us to operationalize male engagement in this effort. The launch of the strategic documents today is only the second step in the right direction. Our presence here today is a testimony to our commitments as leaders, of which most of us are male, to engage and end violence against mothers, wives, and daughters. Your Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, our technical teams took leadership in developing these strategic documents, which we pride ourselves in and are happy to launch today, drawing on our inherent cultural mandate that is provided for under the Traditional and Cultural Leaders Act of 2011. We commit to work with the government, civil society, and all well-meaning developmental actors to end the rising cases of violence against women and girls. I call upon all my fellow traditional and cultural leaders to ensure that justice, equity, respect for humanity, and a sense of responsibility as we lead our people. We must all walk the lane to a happier gender violence-free Uganda. Gender violence-free homes create happy and economically reproductive communities. The choice to launch these documents during the 16 days of activism is strategic under the theme harnessing cultural resources and partnerships to end violence against women and girls. Let us embark on our roles and implement our strategic plan of 2023 to 2027. To end, may I extend my sincere thanks to the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, the Cross-Cultural Foundation of Uganda, UN Women with the support from the European Union Spotlight Initiative to end violence against women and girls, and the Embassy of Sweden for this initiative and their efforts to support the cultural leaders in promoting the rights of women and girls in Uganda. Together, we can make a difference. Thank you for God and my country.
Your Royal Highness, before you take your seat, Your Royal Highness, before you take your seat, kindly append your signature. And I would like to invite all Your Royal Highnesses who haven't yet signed to also please take this opportunity to sign. Thank you. Your Royal Highnesses, thank you. I continue to recognize His Highness Peter Swilike Kisa, Kinko of Sebei Culture Institution. Thank you. We recognize your presence.
Could we request the Highnesses to stay on the platform for a group photo after the signing? Yes, if it's convenient, we could bring it down. That should be fine. I can see the minister is asking. Yes. Your Highnesses, let's bring that down so that we can...
Could we also invite the representative of the Queen Mother, Toro Kingdom, to come and join us in the signing? And the representative of Spotlight Initiative as well. Kindly take on the stage and append your signature.
Ladies and gentlemen, cultural leaders and traditional leaders are penning their signature to this important document, a commitment from the cultural institutions across the African continent, the Uganda chapter, to end violence against women and girls. Many times people think that try to project negative elements of culture as part of culture. I think you had that statement loud and clear, which is not always the case. Thank you very much, Your Highnesses. May I request Kwara Choli to come back for a group photo. The professionals, the photographers, could you kindly move that signing board to maybe center it so that it's standing behind the cultural leaders, and arrange them so that we can be able to pick a good photo, a good group photo. The professionals, please help us. The one who's taking the official photograph. Oh, we need to move that and center it so that we can have a good photo.
Camera, are you ready? Because we are in the last signatures now. We should be getting set.
The minister is the chief guest, so I think the minister should be in that photo.
Yes.
You and women should
Honorable
be in that
Minister,
photo.
right in the middle.
Please.
Yeah. In the middle.
Huh? Yes, please. Huh? Yeah, some can stand on the platform behind. We need to see.
Okay, let's move the board. Let's move the board into the middle center.
The representative of the Queen Mother of Toro should be in that photo.
Okay.
I had the minister talk about Frank and the Allure connection. Kerunen Susan and the Allure connection.
Yes.
Also be proud about my Toro connection. So I want my Prime Minister and the representative of my Queen Mother to be seen in that photo.
Okay, at the count of 3, we have a shot. 3, 2, 1, shot. Another one. 3, 2, 1, shot. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. A round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen in the background, let's have a round of applause. And at this juncture, the Honorable Minister and the team will be departing. We are break tea, the rest of us. It's now time to have our tea break. We'll return back after about 20 minutes to resume business.
We also invite other members present here to come and append your signatures to confirm that you are here. Let's have the Prime Ministers come and append their signatures. Prime Ministers, representatives of civil society organizations. Huh? Your Royal Highnesses, stay where you are. You'll be served from there. The Prime Ministers of the different cultural institutions and traditional institutions appending their signatures. I have seen Obudingia Wawamba append a signature there. I have seen Kochi, Prime Minister. I have seen... Huh? Yes, thank you very much, gentlemen. Have we had the leader of the representative of the Karamoja Elders Forum append a signature? Please, thank you very much. We'll invite some leaders from civil society who are attending here to also come and put your signature to confirm that you were part of this event, this important launch. We're moving close to ending the activities of the day. We have a few more items to conclude. Kindly bear with us. Let's have, if you are here, you haven't been represented, you're here yourself, come and append your signature so that you can confirm you're actually at Africana on this day and you participated in this important launch. Would like to appreciate all cultural leaders present in the hall, traditional leaders, either present here or represented. Thank you very much for this important. Thank you. Thank you very much. Susan was...
I would like to invite the rest of us to breakfast, but for our Royal Highnesses, please stay seated. Breakfast will be served to you. We respect your presence and please feel at home. Thank you. Crane performance, thank you.
Susan Vosia, if you are in the room, please come and append your signature. You played a key role in putting these things together, so please come. Susan Vosia. You should come and add your signature here. Barbara, I don't know if I saw you signing on this board here. You should come and sign on this board. Civil society actors, other representatives of other government institutions, please come and append your signature. Your Royal Highnesses, Susan Santa Vosia is the consultant who worked with the Cross-Cultural Foundation of Uganda UN Women to put these documents together, the ones you have just launched. I'd like to thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're seated in at the back, please feel free to walk to the serving tables in the corridor. Pick yourself a cup of tea, some breakfast. The people who manage the protocol for their Royal Highnesses, please work with UN Women to have, with the Cross-Cultural Foundation to ensure that they are served where they are, and we'll be moving towards the end. In the meantime, Susan, who's a very passionate culturalist, I think that's right. She's called the Queen of Allure. I don't know if His Royal Highness has agreed to that title. If he hasn't, you will have to seek special permission, but I saw you paying your respects there as a good Allure girl.
Yes? That name comes from my career. You know, my fans, I am an artist. I do folk fusion music. And through the years, for about 20 years, my fans decided to give me the title of Allure Queen because I sing and speak Allure. That's what I go by.
Thank you, Dr. Arthur Mujisha, board member, Cross-Cultural Foundation of Uganda. Thank you very much for penning your signature. You've been disappearing there in the background there, but people remember you for your service at National Water. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Uganda Wildlife Authority, sorry. Uganda Wildlife Authority. Thank you. Thank you for putting your signature to that document. I mean to this board here, the recognition. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, so we're talking about ending violence against women, against the girl child. Me, I was listening to the speech. I hear there is also violence against men.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
So basically it's gender-based violence, whether it's against men or women, but women and girls are bigger victims or have been for a longer time. And I think this is what the cultural and traditional leaders are trying to deal with. Is it?
I think for me, it's really something that I'm very, very happy that there is a full representation from my kingdom, and by only the presence of my king and his supporters in his cabinet, for me it means there is really, really commitment to this cause. As an Allure girl, as a West Niler, the vice of GBV has actually really, really been weighing us down, especially at household level, even young girls. So even when I see the commitment of my whole king and to be a man, because the perpetrators initially, you know, were always in that regard are seen as the men in West Nile. I'm very happy that my king is here. I'm very happy that his prime minister is here. And I just pray that, you know, it goes up to the household level, because for me this is a very, very important step to empowering the girl child and women, and not forgetting the boy child, by the way. Because most of the time when we talk about GBV, as you've heard here, the boys are left behind, but they're actually suffering. And I know of cases actually where there is gender-based violence against the men and the boys. So I really think as we move on in these 16 days of GBV, let's also remember the men and the boy child especially, because they're also a victim.
And I think I had a very fundamental statement that wrong people in communities do not represent cultural beliefs of those communities. So abuse is abuse, no matter where it is. It's not culture. Abuse is culture.
I want to believe that, actually. I really do not want to tag a vice to culture unless the people who are perpetrating these vices are misunderstanding or misinterpreting this culture norm. I also wouldn't really, really want to tag it to culture. It isn't.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Royal Highnesses. Thank you, the Prime Ministers, Ministers. Thank you, UN Women. Thank you for walking this journey with the Cross Cultural Foundation of Uganda. Thank you, the representative of the Queen Mother of Toro Kingdom. Thank you, and especially for the Queen Mother, the journey she has been moving to getting this to where it is at the moment. Unfortunate that she's not here personally, but she's following everything online, wherever she is, and we appreciate that she was able to send a representative with her own words on how important this is. So, ladies and gentlemen, in a few moments, we will have the next major step to put together a structure, a leadership that is going to see some of these documents through, be able to remind the cultural and traditional leaders of the commitment you have made, be able to work together with the different agencies, UN Women, the Cross Cultural Foundation, the ministry, and the government of Uganda by extension, to ensure that these commitments are not just on paper, but they're going to be implemented in the different communities that you lead, and for the prime ministers who are here and the other representatives, to make sure that this is followed through. And we are not only protecting our cultures, we're not only advancing our cultures and our traditional identities, but we're also moving that in a positive way to protect everybody in society, because if we get better, if our cultures get better, our communities advance better.
And I'm really grateful that we have, of course, media present in the house. This event is being streamed live right now. And of course, for the young people in the house, I know there's a group of students who are present here. It's important that such functions and such documents do not just remain at the office level, that the information is distributed and rolled down to young people. Sensitization, I think, is a very, very important role that we need to play at this point. So we thank you so much, members of the media, for being here. We thank you for disseminating this information, and thank you for informing Ugandans about what's going on.
Susan, let me be a little bit selfish once again. Almost all this activity has been run live on NBS TV. We've been picking it up, and I see the discussion on social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, WhatsApp groups. So Your Highnesses, we have a bigger audience out there that is following what you're doing, a global audience that is following the commitments that you're making to your communities, the communities that you lead, to Uganda as a country, because we have representation from across the country, and to Africa, and to the world. Thank you.
You're welcome to have breakfast for those of you who haven't yet picked, and I would like to invite Crane Performers to please give us some soft entertainment. Thank you.
Sangala, banange sangala, diwabona kumwino sangala, koneyo baliyo. Sangala, mama sangala, wabona kumwino sangala, sangala, mama sangala, diwabona kumwino sangala, koneyo baliyo. Yanziza mwebala bageni wabona kumwino sangala koneyo baliyo sangala mama sangala wabona kumwino sangala abageni abakulu tusimye okubabona ndigobona kumwino sangala bwobona sangala mama sangala olwalero banangelero kwegaita bwobona kumwino sangala sangala mama sangala bwobona kumwino sangala sangala mama sangala ndigobona kumwino sangala koteyo baliyo bina isanuka malo kubona abageni bwobona kumwino sangala sangala mama sangala 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 mama sangala sangala mama sangala wabona kumwino sangala olwalero nsimye okubabona sangala sangaire n'abageni abaidde gano sangaire olwalero banaife tukyaziza abageni wabona kumwino sangala mama sangala sangala mama sangala wabona kumwino sangala mwebale mama mwebale olwalero banaife lero okusanuka ndiwabona kumwino sangala banange sangala kumwino sangala koneyo baliyo angala banange sangala kumwino sangala yeyiweze mama sangala wabona kumwino iwe wabona kumwino muno sangala wabona kumwino mwebale mama mwebale sangala banange sangala kodeyo baliyo sangala banange sangala yeyiweze mama sangala wabona kumwino sangala yeyiwe uliliza mama jabwine dindu 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 boina banene banaife baije boina bageni banaife baije sangaire no tuzimyo kubabona dindu 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 kama bangandi didizala bakagwa yewe dindu dindu amaze banaife dindu yewe banaife dindu yewe banaife dindu banaife mwebale okwegaita mwebale banaife mwebale okwegaita mwebale mwena mwena andi mwebale okwegaita banaife mwebale banaife mwebale okwegaita ndimwebale okwegaita Dimwe balo kwe gaita. 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 Dimwe balo yive wana ife. Dimwe balo kwe gaita. Zemba ina bateso. Na bona bacholi. Aboli dengedere. Aboli dengedere. Samba samba tujere. Samba samba kike. Dole bune chokuzana. Mucho mucho na bahera. Wenta bahera. Samba samba kike. Abaruji mwe barokwisha. Mucho mucho na ba. Ebigambo bisabeni naliana. Bojo we kocha. Samba samba kike. Samba samba kiki, babi sabeli nariada. Samba samba orjeke, babi sabeli nariada. Orjeke mutambe basaika, babi sabeli nariada. Idere idere we, babi sabeli nariada. Hey we nariada, nariada. Andere idere we, babi sabeli nariada. Andere idere we, babi sabeli nariada. Samba samba kiki, babi sabeli nariada. Samba samba boni, babi sabeli
Hello, my directors of ceremonies, you're welcome here. As they come, we'd like to recognize the representative of the Prime Minister Wenengo Wabugwe, Charles Wadenya, is in our midst, and we apologize. I'm on my knees for our highnesses, those who are still having something to make the throat okay. We apologize that we continue. Am I allowed, Papa? You know why I ask Papa is my father. So if Papa allows, others have allowed me. Okay. So I would like to hand over to the directors that we continue with the program.
Thank you very much, Ruth, for stepping in. Thank you very much, Ruth, for stepping in. Thank you very much, Crane performers. Thank you very much, Your Royal Highnesses. Thank you very much, the Prime Ministers, and everybody present here. We appreciate your time being here. We're still running live on NBS TV, and we will continue until. Ladies and gentlemen, we did a while ago launch documents. Some people may not know the content of some of those documents. I know many of you have participated in different ways in bringing them to life, what we have just launched a few minutes ago. May I invite Barbara from the Cross-Cultural Foundation of Uganda to come and run us through the 3 key documents that are before us this afternoon, and particularly the strategic plan and what it is supposed to deliver for this forum. Barbara, please. Ms. Barbara Bawetera. Give us a little bit of what is in what we have launched. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Master of Ceremonies. I would like to, first of all, take this honor and pleasure to extend our gratitude to the Honorable Minister in absentia for having graced this occasion. I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to His Royal Highnesses that have accepted and come to this particular occasion. We don't take this for granted. Your commitment counts a lot. In a very humble way, I would like to appreciate the UN Women Country Representative, the trust you had in us, the belief that culture can contribute to ending violence against women and girls is what has brought us here today. The representative of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Gender, we are equally honored to have you here today. We've done this work in partnership with the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, as well as some other civil society organizations that have provided us with technical guidance. But who are we? The Cross-Cultural Foundation of Uganda is a non-governmental organization that exists to promote the appreciation of culture as critical, vital element in the development discourse. We believe that for sustainable development to happen, culture must be at the center of it, lest we fail. The documents that we are launching today are 3, as already displayed to you by the Honorable Minister. We have the Charter, which is the overall guiding policy framework. The information that is in here is what was translated into actionable points into the strategic plan that we run from 2023 to 2027. But how all this is going to be manifested, the how is in the operational manual. But I will go through the strategic plan briefly, which is key, that is going to guide us, and it's what will be guiding our operation. The next slide, please. Whoever is managing the... Okay, we've already heard what is Cotla, Council of Traditional Leaders in Africa, which is a Pan-African movement of progressive cultural and traditional leaders that aim at promoting gender equality, to end child marriages, FGM, and other harmful practices by 2030. And it was launched in 2019 in Addis Ababa. And when the idea was given to us in Lusaka, Zambia, we felt this was something that cultural leaders would embrace. And when we consulted them, they agreed to form the Uganda chapter that was finally launched in 2020. I just want to emphasize that the focus of this Council of Traditional Leaders in Africa, Uganda chapter, is mainly targeting the recognized and gazetted cultural institutions in Uganda. And because the issue of gender spreads or cuts across, we are not leaving out our other brothers and sisters who can be members, but they're not the core focus for Cotla. And I think the only three which are not yet recognized, we have the Karamoja Elders Association, but they've moved along with us while developing this. They are aware and they associate. Ankole is not yet officially recognized, although we know that it was a big ancient kingdom. We are following statutory laws. And also Lugbar, not yet officially recognized, but they have equally moved along with us on this. The vision that Cotla has is a society that is supported by a well-organized, vibrant, and knowledgeable traditional and cultural leaders that use their power of Uganda's diverse cultures to ensure respect for humanity, human dignity, gender equality, and a society that is free from violence against women and girls. The mission is that traditional or cultural institutions and leaders in Uganda get grounded in and utilizing existing cultural resources to promote gender equality, end child marriages and other harmful practices. But I want to underline that what is key in this is that we must be amplifying the positive practices that transform the lives of women and girls in the communities of Uganda. And this is where most of us as development actors usually get it wrong. We condemn, but we do not pick on what is positive to start with that as a way of allying. Within the strategic plan or documents are some key commitments. If you will check in your books, you will find the commitments. There are 14 commitments, but of which I've picked out a few that we must emphasize today. One is that the cultural leaders who participated in preparing and putting together these documents, who are committing to be part of Cotla and what it stands for, say that they will ensure that they support women and girl-friendly policies, legal frameworks, and sociocultural engagements. When we talk about legal frameworks, that is inclusive of customary laws, because our laws of Uganda also recognize customary laws as long as they are not in contravention with the statutory laws, especially our national constitution. The other commitment is that the cultural leaders will prevent and respond to negative social norms and practices that fuel abuse against women and girls. They pledge and commit to promote and give value to positive masculinities and male engagement for sustainable elimination of violence against women and girls. The other key commitments is the issue of partnership with state and non-state actors to address violence against women and girls, but also they commit to build up men whose concept of self-worth excludes misuse and abuse of power against women and girls. And while they do this, they want to ensure that Ugandan families are at the center and strong to be able to provide this protection to the mothers, the wives, the sisters, the aunties within their communities. There are 4 key strategic objectives that the strategic plan is envisioning. And under those key strategic objectives, there are a number of other objectives that will be worked with to ensure fulfillment of the 4 key strategic objectives. The first one is that they are going to promote positive cultural norms, values, and practices that contribute to ending violence against women and girls. The second strategic objective is around partnerships and collaboration with state and non-state actors, advocacy and lobbying for positive change within the cultural institutions and in their communities. And lastly, is to ensure that they coordinate the activities of Cotla. Now, this photograph is not really very clear on the, it's not very clear on the slide, but I would like you to turn to page 13 of the strategic document that you have. Just to explain to you a little bit of how Cotla Uganda is going to be structured. It's not sitting entirely on its own, but it is part and parcel of the bigger Cotla Africa chapter. It will belong to the regional cluster of the East African Cotla chapter, but while having an independent Cotla Uganda chapter. But how is it going to operate? Cotla is a coalition for the cultural leaders in Uganda, gazetted, coming to work together to address violence against women and girls. So the hierarchy is that the forum for the cultural leaders, the kings, the chiefs that head the cultural institutions, is the utmost overall big structure, and that is in green up there. Right under them are the technical persons, who are the prime ministers that do the technical work and running around to ensure implementation. So they are accountable to their leaders, but while implementing Cotla work. Is it possible that all of them will work or will be coordinating at the same time? No, simply because there are very many. So from within them, there will be an executive committee that will be elected by the cultural leaders with the prime ministers. And I must say that a cultural leader will be elected to head Cotla chapter for a maximum of 3 years, and it's going to be rotational. Now, the king that will be elected, the king, the chief that will be elected, automatically the prime minister to that king will be the head of the working committee of the prime ministers. But they will be reporting back to the general council of the prime ministers while accountability continues onwards. They will not work alone. Government is so much responsible for the works that cultural leaders do in this country. So the Ministry of Gender in purple is directly going to work with the cultural leaders. There will be a point person for this, and the current focal person is Madam Ruth Muguta. So she will continue guiding and giving technical advice to the teams. But we also acknowledge that these cultural institutions are still independent institutions in their own right in their communities. So they will still implement Cotla activities at their own grassroots levels within their cultural institutions, but feeding into what the strategic plan would have developed. Because the activities, there will be those that are collective at the national level, but again, there will be activities at institutional level. So within, in yellow, cultural institutions remain independent, but they will be collaborating with peers, whether on this project or will be collaborating on any other activities as long as it is aiming at preventing violence against women and girls. We believe that at the community level, cultural institution level, we have local governments. So the local governments within those districts will be directly supporting the cultural institutions at that lower level. We have community development officers, and I wish to recognize if there are any CDOs in this room, kindly, this is where your role falls. And then we believe that organizations like CCFU can also provide great advice, technical guidance while implementing some of this work. So in blue there, we also have NGOs. It's not only CCFU, but all other NGOs that are willing to work together with the cultural leaders to promote rights of women and girls. Within this framework of all those circles we've talked about, there is an enabling environment within which we sit, Cotla, Uganda sits. And this environment consists of other stakeholders and players. We have the UN agencies. We have Cotla Africa. We have UNICEF, UNESCO, UNHCR. We have the private sector. We have the World Bank. We have all the other partners. So they are a support structure that is outside the main structure of Cotla, Uganda. So what will be the key areas of intervention? I'm almost coming to an end. The key areas of intervention, we will have knowledge generation and awareness raising. We will have active engagement with root causes of violence against women and girls. Partnerships is very key in this, and that is why the theme for the launch of the strategic documents has been harnessing cultural resources and partnerships to end violence against women and girls. Within this, we will also have capacity building of the coalition, but also of the peer organizations, could be cultural institutions or otherwise. But above it all, we know that sometimes in the same space, there exists multiple cultural institutions, but how can we work collaboratively together and peacefully coexist? That's the managing diversity. We will do advocacy, which is key, and the key interest that we kept on hearing from the cultural leaders is how can we influence at the African Union level. So that will also be key. Monitoring and evaluating our performances, checking ourselves, being accountable to each other is again another issue that we shall be looking at. Risk analysis and management is another key area of intervention. I must say that amidst all this, the key issues that we must do today is to make sure that we do elect at least the key or the first office bearer, a king or the traditional or cultural leader that is going to take on the mantle to unravel this, to start it off for us. And once this traditional cultural leader is elected, automatically, as I've said, the Prime Minister to this cultural institution will head the Prime Minister's working committee. And the committee will be able, the cultural leaders and the Prime Ministers will be able within themselves to elect the office bearers, which office bearers you will find in the operational manual. It states the different key offices, but that we believe that with the limitation of time, we will be able to organize for you when you can do the election of the other office bearers, but key today is the lead that will help to even set this in place. I would like, as I end, my PowerPoint is done, but I would like to recognize the efforts of the team that put these documents together. The staff members of the Cross-Cultural Foundation of Uganda, wherever you are, led by our board member, Dr. Arthur Mugisha, I would like to request you to stand up for recognition. CCFU team. In a very exceptional way, I would like to appreciate the Ministry of Gender. They were very key in this. We had a technical team. I remember summoning them on a weekend. Saturday, I said, we must have this completed. But it says not a working day, and I said, no way, please. Let's commit to finish this. Madam Ruth, Cecilia Chom, Hajara, Chalimpa, kindly stand up for recognition if you are within the room. I know you're busy. We also had a dedicated team from UN Women. They never left us alone. Even when I said Saturday, we must work, they were like, okay, it's against our working rules, it's a weekend, but as individuals, we are committed. Martin, Evelyn, a round of applause to you for the great work done. And for the Prime Ministers, we are immensely indebted to you. You kept us in check. You kept guiding us on what is possible and what is not. I would like to request the team at the back to appreciate our Prime Ministers for the great work that was done. And with those few words, allow me to end it here and thank all of you for the great work done. I must say that the work is just starting, but before I end, kindly Santa Vusia, we didn't work alone. We had to get a consultant to help us run through all this. Madam Santa Vusia, congratulations upon this. It was a tough time. I think she told me that if she had, she would have submitted this for a PhD. It wasn't easy. But congratulations upon the PhD, baby, well delivered. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and allow me wish you a very nice time as we go back to our communities, but let's fold our sleeves. The work has just started. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you so much. This is one very passionate lady that I have met. And once she commits herself to doing something, she'll make sure it is done. Congratulations. Right now, without much ado, I would like to invite whoever within the CCFU team, those who are going to be responsible for spearheading the election process. Let's get this done with. And of course, we invite you to stay after the election process for a lunch that is, of course, being served to us. I continue to thank our cultural leaders for taking time for being here with us. already people who have been recognized in the process, the Ministry of Gender, CCFU, UN Women, the Embassy of Sweden. They could have left, but here we recognize them in the absentia. The EU, thank you so much. Civil society, and of course you, the people who have made it possible for this event to take place. It does not make sense if such a very important document has been launched and there is no ear to it. And thank you, Barbara, for giving it actually context, because most of the times we get such very, very important documents being, launched in this country. But then the breakdown of information to the common man, to the media, to actually the ears that really, really must get this information is not normally done. So we are very, very grateful. Thank you, Barbara, and thank you so much, whoever's been involved. I would like to, call the CCFU team to lead us into the election process as we move on with the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my passionate sister, Keronen. You should listen to her music, always inspiring. And she's told me she used to fight while in class. You talk about culture, music of the foreign, whatever, it's what they are learning, and she keeps asking them, where is the African music in all this? So we have an ambassador. Now, given that today's election is so much for the cultural institutions, it's not for CCFU, it's not for the ministry, allow me to take this opportunity to invite one of the prime ministers that has really been working with us on the National Organizing Committee, the person who presented the speech on behalf of the prime ministers, Joseph Obo from Tiengadola. He's the Prime Minister of Tiengadola. He will take us through the processes. And I think what is key is just to elect from His Royal Highnesses. Once that one has been gotten, automatically the chair for the prime ministers has been elected as well. So I hand over to you for the election.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Your Royal Highnesses and distinguished guests in the House, good afternoon once more. I've been given a small task that I feel I need guidance from our principals. I have a feeling that in a way we would need either consensus, because you see, elections divide people. When we talk of you got 2 votes and the other person is saying he got only 1, that can be an issue. So we have our respectable kings and the traditional cultural leaders here. I want the guidance from my fellow prime ministers, because the king we are looking at, we should be looking at the prime minister behind that king. Kings are not foot soldiers. The work is always done by the prime ministers. So if we are looking at the king, let's look at the prime minister behind that kingdom. That should be able to guide us very well. Your Royal Highnesses, this is your thing. I have only been called here as one of the foot soldiers to guide. And if there is any view to the contrary, then I have some helpers who should be moving around with microphones to you will humbly raise your arm and then they will reach you. I submit. This is the humble servant of His Royal Highness, the Kwaradola. My name is Richard Joseph Obo, and I'm the Prime Minister of Tiengadola. either the prime ministers, the kings. We have also prime ministers behind. Magusha, I have seen the prime minister of, that is the prime minister of Inzu Yamasawa.
Thank you very much.
Please kindly introduce yourself.
Yes.
And then you make your remarks.
Yeah, I'm called Francis Mashate, standing in for the Prime Minister Inzu Yamasawa. My proposal is that since you have been very involved in this activity, and since we want continuity, I would propose that your king becomes the head of this institution so that you can have the opportunity to continue doing what you have been doing. Thank you.
I hope this is not because I had earlier presented the prime ministers. Could I have another view? Yes, it is consensus. Otherwise, Right Honorable Machete, thank you. Thank you for the confidence.
I'm Samuel Kasiri, Prime Minister of Bukamwa Buloli. Since you have walked us through nicely, very well, interim period, I strongly support that you take over. The King takes over.
Thank you, Right Honorable. I think I need any view contrary. We have the King of, not Alur, but Kumam. Those are brothers.
I am His
Yes, Your Royal Highness.
I'm His Royal Highness, the cultural leader of Kumam. It is not a contrary view, but I'm endorsing the previous view that we demand continuity, which is very good and which has done us proud. So I want continuity. I endorse.
Thank you, Your Royal Highness. Thank you very much for the confidence you have had in me. I gladly accept to work behind my king. Your Royal Highness, Moses Stephen Award, you are the first person leading the Cotla chapter for the next 3 years together with the Prime Minister. Thank you for accepting, Your Royal Highness. Who is going to help now? The Prime Minister of Tiengadola. I need only the Vice Chairperson. Then I will leave this podium. Can I have proposal? Just among the Prime Ministers now, I would like to have nomination and secondment, and we want consensus. Issues of voting, no. Let's just have consensus like we did with the previous. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, and congratulations for the post we've just granted you.
Thank you.
I would propose that I am Nangiro Simon Peter, Chair in Karamoja Elders Association. I would propose that my neighbor here from Kerukwara Choli, Okuna Peter, to be the Vice Chairperson. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for your proposal. Any other view? That is Right Honorable Edie, yeah. Prime Minister Koki.
Yeah, my name's Honorable Haji Idi Ahmed Chuanuka, the Prime Minister of Koki. My proposal is the Prime Minister of Alur Kingdom, PM, his Honorable Lawrence Oparanga. He's very active always. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Right Honorable Edie. He's proposing the Prime Minister of Alur Kingdom. The first proposal by Elder was Asholi. Can you help me, please, the Right Honorable Prime Ministers?
Thank you very much. I'm Right Honorable Tuku Ismail, Prime Minister, Lugara Cultural Institution. I would like to put my weight on Prince Angala, the Prime Minister, Aluru Kingdom, to be in the position we are looking for. And I want to congratulate you also for doing good work in coordinating our affairs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. Any contrary view? You know, when you have so many, then it is near voting. Already we have two in support of the Prime Minister for Alur. Any contrary voice? Since I have no hand, I would like to congratulate the Prime Minister of Ker Kuala for successfully being nominated as the Vice Chair for Cotla, Uganda chapter for the next 3 years. I want to therefore now, having done that very important role, to invite my King, His Royal Highness Moses Stephen Owor, to come and address you and also give his acceptance upon being elected as the chairperson. I will request that you take to the King the microphone right where he's seated. Your Royal Highness, you are most welcome.
My brother, cultural leaders, I'm humbled by the confidence that you have placed in me. I came to attend the conference, and little did I know that my brothers have kind consideration for me and have asked me to lead them for the next 3 years, serving as their chairman and working to fulfill the subject matter which has brought us here. With humility, I would like to say I accept the honor that you have given me. I know that it will not be an artificial honor, but a demand for duty. I would promise you that with your constant support and through my Prime Minister, we'll do our best to make sure that you do what is necessary to promote the growth of not only Cotla, but the core value of preaching a gospel against violence against women and girls. We'll do this knowing that women are the mothers of nations. We do this knowing that in the past there was a tendency of overlooking the value of women, but today we appreciate that women are very important in any family. The problem that has been around has been the arrogance of we men. We take unilateral decisions in some cases in homes, which instigate disagreement and finally fight. We have to preach, particularly to our people, the essence of a decent home, a decent family, where father and mother become the example, the role model, so that children grow up following the kind of commendable behavior of their own parents. For instance, in my own kingdom, I've been preaching to men to avoid quarreling in front of their children and to the extent of beating their mother in the children's presence. Because when you do that, you are teaching the children to follow your ways. As they grow, they will imitate what the father used to do to their mother. And I think that's the area where we should start first and continue with other advice that will be effective in ensuring that our stand as cultural leaders to help prevent violence against women works. My Prime Minister, who by chance and your own choice has been part of the technical team that has worked, is quite familiar with what we've been doing, and will try to share with you the gospel which we believe in will be effective in ensuring that what we have undertaken is actually fulfilled. I would also like to say I thank all of you, my brothers. As the minister stated this morning, when I met the president some time back, I told him the ordeal, the problem that makes the work of cultural leaders very difficult. I told the president, in many cases, we receive invitations to national functions and what have you. But then, the cultural leaders come from all corners of Uganda. And many of them may not have finances of their own. When one is invited to go and attend a national function in Alori Kingdom, in Nebi, you find a cultural leader from Bundubujo driving to Nebi, and he has got to pull from his own pocket the money for transport, the money to pay for his hotel, the money to pay for the security guard who accompanies him, and for his driver. And should the car break down in the middle of the journey, he has no funds, he has no money how to get back home. And when I said all this to the president, he agreed with me and said, from now, he will consider facilitating the cultural leaders, including obtaining cars for all the prime ministers of the kingdom, and also avail some funds to enable cultural institutions to run their work, since cultural leaders, such as now we are talking, it is government policy that violence against women should be stopped. It is the cultural leaders who are there with the people and who can convey that message more clearly than anyone else. But the accessibility, due to lack of facilitation, makes the work very difficult. I'm glad to hear from the Minister of Gender, who assured us that the His Excellency the President has understood our problem and he has agreed that he will support to make sure that we are able to move around and to do our work with much ease than it has been the case in the past. As your own chosen leader, which I thank you very humbly, I will endeavor to continue reminding His Excellency the President that a promise is a debt. And therefore, the sooner he can fulfill the promises, the better. And therefore, once again, I thank you, and I promise I'll do my best to ensure that we fulfill the duties that are imposed on we brothers as cultural leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness, the Kwaradola. I think I have done my part too. Wafoyo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're coming to the close of this function. Congratulations to Keradola. Is that what it is? Yes. King Adola. Yes. Yes. King Adola, thank you. And the Prime Minister, thank you very much and congratulations. Would like to inform you that, yes, and send congratulations to Busoga Kingdom. The king is still on honeymoon, as you might understand, and the entire kingdom is still on honeymoon. Once the honeymoon is over, then you'll see them participating in activities here. Thank you very much to my Prime Minister and my kingdom and my Queen Mother for being here. Thank you for coming. Thank you very much, Your Royal Highnesses, the Prime Ministers, members of civil society organizations, UN Women, thank you very much. The Ministry, thank you very much. And the Cross Cultural Foundation of Uganda, thank you very much for being part of this activity. What do they say when they finish a church service? Huh?
The grace.
The grace. The grace and the benediction, but there's something about going to do what you have committed to do, to protect women and girls. Pardon me? Women and girl children against GBV.
Before you close this session, I would like to congratulate our leaders today. That is Adola. However, as a lawyer and a scholar of law, I would advise this coalition that next time you carry out elections, let them be orderly. Try to follow the guidelines of the Electoral Commission. Because if I was in position to this, or if I wanted this position, I would definitely petition and contest. So for that matter, come up with proper guidelines and proper procedures of electing the next leader of the coalition. This is just an advice. No bad blood, but I congratulate you. Secondly, I would implore all the kings, all the cultural institutions, to ensure that you buy the 1995 Constitution. This is simply because whatever we are discussing today is actually embedded under Chapter 4 of the Constitution. It is actually ranging from page 20 up to page 58. So I would implore that all kingdoms buy the Constitution, and when these strategies are being implemented, please follow those provisions of the Constitution. Then last but not least, we have come here, we've discussed. And why I've jumped in is because you're closing and summarizing, but we don't know where is the funding going to come from for you to aid the kingdoms, because it involves dissemination of information. Okay? You need radio, you need TV, you need transportation, moving from one gombolora to the other, for those who understand the word gombolora, or parishes. Thank you. That is all I had to contribute.
That was advice. And the Royal Highness said, no bad blood. And he's a lawyer. And Barbara, you'd like to respond?
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Your Royal Highness, for your observations. I must say that today's election was specifically to enable us set off, and then once this leadership puts in place the provisions of the strategic plan, I know that you will be a more organized entity to be able to run your own elections, because this is for you, this is yours, as we will be providing guidance and support. But I know that the team that you have consensusly elected, you are going to have an opportunity to sit early next year to fill all the positions that are provided for in the operational manual, and then that team will be mandated to put in place all the appropriate procedures and ways of working within Cotla. This was just to get us off and starting. We are at the running lane. Thank you for recognizing and talking about the issue of finance. And I hope the Prime Minister from your cultural institution, if they took responsibility to brief the cultural leaders, because that was the mandate, the issue of finances was extensively discussed and covered. As an overall policy, you will still find it within the strategic plan. You will find it in the charter. And we recognize that once Cotla is in place, it will be able to mobilize resources, both from within and without, bearing the fact that already the president has given us 60 million per month to start off with. That is a resource. But we will make sure that we support Cotla to thrive, but especially we believe that the power lies within. We are just a sleeping giant that, if harnessed, has the greatest potential, more than the existing written laws, to do what we are committing to do. With those few remarks, allow me, I hope I've been able to address your concerns, sir, and I wish to further encourage our prime ministers whose leaders have not been here today, but I know they've been part of the process. They know what is embedded within these documents, and they will rightfully relay the information to their leaders, and we shall, in our first meeting, get to discuss even the roadmap and the plan for 2024 so that we get started. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara, for the clarity. Right now, I'd like to invite the PS, Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, to give us an official closing remark before we can say it is a day that has been successfully achieved. Thank you.
Your Royal Highnesses, my sister, the UN country representative, UN Women,
dear Right Honorable Prime Ministers, and indeed everyone in the room, good afternoon. I have the honor and privilege to perform the humble task of making closing remarks, which I will keep very simple and brief. First is to congratulate the Tiengadola, His Highness, the King of the Japadola, upon winning the confidence and trust of his colleagues in this room. Congratulations. I want to thank the Honorable Minister who has left for other activities, the UN Women Representative, the EU Ambassador, who accepted and indeed came here to officiate at this function. We don't take your presence here for granted. It is a clear indication of the strong support that you believe should be accorded to these cultural institutions in this country. I want to thank your Royal Highnesses and indeed your Prime Ministers for the role you have played all this time to make this event a success. If you are asked, what did you come here to do? What have you achieved in this half day? From my perspective, I think it has been a successful function. Two key things achieved. One, we've had our 3 principal documents, key documents launched. That's one key output. So congratulations. The second one is we have elected a leader who will drive this process for the next 3 years. Congratulations. 2 key outcomes. I want to thank once again UN Women, UNICEF, the Cross Cultural Foundation of Uganda, and the Queen Mother of Toro Kingdom for providing what I would choose to refer to as antenatal and midwifery support to Cotla to deliver the 3 triplets that we have all witnessed today. And we now look up to you again to ensure that these 3 babies receive the required vaccination and any other postnatal support that is required. You've heard what they have said, and I'm pleased that Cross Cultural Foundation has promised that very soon, early next year, we'll be convening again to discuss further what are we going to do about these documents. I believe by that time, every one of us here will have taken time to read all those documents so that we come here well informed and together we chart a way forward. Allow me to thank the technical team that put all this together. I know we can't thank you enough, but your work is evident and everybody has appreciated it. We cannot reward you. We believe your reward is in heaven, not here on earth. But again, we're talking about documents. But I would like to appeal to all of you not to fall in the trap of those who say Uganda is very good in producing documents. They're everywhere, documents. But we're very slow in implementation. So amidst all the constraints that we may face, you should be able to present something in terms of accountability for the energies we put in all these processes. Some people even go further to say that there are some countries that don't invest resources in research and preparing documents, that they just wait for Uganda to produce, then they pick them up, they go and implement. And after 1 year or 2, Uganda is going to benchmark from those who have picked from our own documents. So please, do not fall into that trap. And please prove me right, because I don't believe that's what we do here as a country. So we are all challenged to make use of all these important documents to cause change that we so much desire. We have now the strategic plan, which is a key operational document. We have the charter, we have our operational plan. And this must be fulfilled to meet the purpose for which they are intended. All we are calling for is results. You know, when we keep sitting here and we say resources, resources, everyone requires resources, but our demands must be justifiable. So I would like to see a situation where when we meet here, we are presenting concrete results that arm us as Ministry of Gender to lobby for more support on the side of government to the institution. Otherwise, if we are here and we say, we are very important, we know you are important. So how important? Demonstrate. So a few of us understand, but there are many people there who may not understand the good things which you are doing. So I think help us so that we make this work easier for all of us. We all know the importance of these cultural and traditional institutions, and therefore you should stand firmly and demonstrate to the public that you matter, and without you, we'll have lost a very strong pillar in our quest to have sustainable development in this country. As Minister of Gender, we want to reiterate our firm commitment to work with you. And many of you who have contacted us, you know how much we try our best. And we also explain to you where we have failures, the constraints we have. So let's keep in constant touch in that engagement. Our technical team is on the ground, and we'll be working together with your prime ministers to facilitate the work of His Royal Highnesses who are here. So please count on us for that support. With these few remarks, I would like to request you to allow me announce that this engagement, this conference is officially closed. Thank you, thank you, thank you very
much. Thank you very much. We would like to, as a technical team, would like to thank you, but would like to announce this announcement. Our head of protocol for Highnesses, the Prime Minister Tangadola, will lead our Highnesses to the same room after the anthems, and then other colleagues, the Prime Ministers and our guests from civil society, university and what, will be here as I give you more directives. We thank you, and we thank you, and we pray that God takes you safely.
Let's stand up for the national anthems, please. Thank you, Crane performers. We invite the rest of us to stay on for lunch. Lunch will be served shortly. Thank you.
And the Cross-Cultural Foundation of Uganda has some administrative arrangements. Prime Ministers will handle with your cultural leaders And the rest of the participants, CCFU is organizing as we go out for lunch. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, Susan.
Papa, Jaka Ulida, Ekoni Koko to Betetuma, Eya Uliki Hoka,